Hi, this is Kim with Scholarly Pursuits. Welcome back to my channel. Now today we're going to talk about something that I found highly controversial, a little bit controversial, somewhat controversial. And the title of it was New Hires That Ghost Employers. And this is a channel all about careers and jobs and education and some lifestyle. We haven't gotten to the lifestyle yet, but we're going to talk about, Columbus, Ohio, and my life and my family and things and interests. But today we're going to talk about something I saw on social media in the news recently. And it was an article in the CBS News ran about how there's a trend where employees are accepting jobs and then they just don't show up. Just the first day, they just don't show up for a job. Now, when I thought about that, sounded crazy to me. Like, what you have to go through to get a job, how would you not just show up the first day of the job? And then I thought about it because I was going through the process with a loved one of mine, and it came up because this is what happens. You apply for lots of jobs, right? You interview, you apply for all kind of jobs. Some jobs are going on to the next step where they might need a writing sample. Some jobs are going to the second interview. So you got all these things in the hopper at the same time. And you're at different places at different times with the different jobs, right? You don't just apply for one job and wait to hear back from that job because you may or may not get that job. So typically when you're going through the job hiring process, you apply for a lot of different jobs. This is Kim, and we're going to talk about this topic and what to do if you are not sure if you should accept the job or if you've accepted the job and now another job, better job has come along that you want more, what you should do. Should you ghost the employer like some of these employees are doing this day and age, or should you take a different tack? Let's talk about it. Kim with Scholarly Pursuits. So back to the article. So this article that CBS ran, it was on YouTube, and I'll put the link in the description below. And it just basically said that there was this trend that employers were having to deal with employees not showing up. And, there's a cost for employers to interview, to hire, to advertise, to select a job. And said now they got to start all over again when this employee doesn't come. And let's just face it, they need someone to do the job. So in a sense, it seems a little unfair, but is it? Because here's the thing, anybody in today's job market or even in the past knows someone who may have accepted a job, started a job, and it just didn't work out. I know a personal example of that myself, where the person accepted the job, worked it for a few months, and then they just let them go. So if we have employees, they may have a little different perspective on. They've seen their parents get laid off possibly. They've seen the pandemic where businesses have closed. Employees may have a sense that there's no guarantee, so I better get mine, right? Because the employers are going to get theirs. If you look at some of the headlines, you find out that even in this pandemic, there are some employers, I read this recently or saw this recently, that some employers are making billions of dollars. We're making billions of dollars during the pandemic. But you had employees that were on unemployment, that lost their jobs, small businesses that closed. So those are a whole gamut of environmental, whole gamut of economic impacts in this whole job process, right? And I get it. I get it that an employee might say, wait, I wanted this job and I accepted it, but now an even better job, a better location, better duties, better money, right, has come along. What do I do? So that question was asked of me recently when I was helping a loved one go through the job hiring process, and he got a couple job offers and they weren't what he wanted. And then he had another job offer and he accepted it. But after he accepted it, he had some other job offers jobs that he was still interviewing for and jobs that he was still interested in. They were asking for more information. He was doing second interviews and providing writing samples. And he was like, well, what would I do if one of these other jobs comes available and they offer me more money, better benefits, and better opportunities, but I've already accepted this other job? What should I do? What would you do? So I'm a Christian. I make no bones about it. Every description of every video that I do, you'll see I have in the description Psalms 23:1, one of my favorite verses. And I just believe that when you give your word, that you keep your word. I'm not saying how long you have to keep your word. I'm not saying it wouldn't be bad for you to do the job for a year and then go on to greener pastures, or 2 years and go on to greener pastures. But what I am saying, for me, for Kim Upchurch, if I have committed in writing, and I'm going to make that distinction to this employer, that I'm going to accept this job, I'm not going to go back on my word because something else comes along. I can't speak for you and what you should do, but for me and my loved ones, that's how I advise them. Either don't take the job until you get the job that you want, but we all know most people are hedging their bets. You don't know if you're going to get the better job, right? So you kind of think, it could be a crapshoot. Let me take this job. But then another job comes and you're like, man, this other job is better. Forget these people that I've already told that I would start with them, right? I personally would tell my loved one, if you have a verbal offer, I would be okay with you changing your mind, because that's the whole point. A verbal offer versus the written offer, right? We want the written offer, the written guarantee from the employer that they're going to give us a job. And in turn, we say in writing that we're going to take the job. To me, it matters. It makes a difference. So I would advise, if you accept a job offer and you've given a verbal commitment and a better job comes along, then I would say it's okay to change your mind and tell this employer, I'm going to pursue this other job. But to me, if you've already given your word, if you've given in writing that I'm going to take this job, that means something. That means something to employer. It means something to you. You can't necessarily control how an employer acts, whether or not they call you back when you call them about a job, whether or not they respond when you send in an application, whether or not they send you timely notifications of your application or resume in the process. Because employers have been known to ghost us as well, right? To ghost the employees as well. But I have a code of honor, a system of values that I live by, and I feel like God is going to cover me if I do what I feel like is the right thing to do. So for all those employees that are ghosting their employers, you have to do what's right for you and what your conscience tells you. But for me and my circle and my loved ones, my answer is always going to be, put your best foot forward. Don't accept a job if there are other jobs out there that you want. Wait until the perfect job comes along. Or if you accept a job and is still in the verbal acceptance and another job comes along, I think it's okay for you to change your mind and say, I no longer want to be considered for this job. I have another opportunity that I'm going to pursue, so that they can go on and make what other additional decisions that they need to make.